Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on whereabouts you're joining us from. We are going to give it a couple of minutes for the last few people to join us, and we will begin shortly. Hello, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to today's webinar, which we have put together especially for COBIS member schools. My name is Catalina Powell. I am the Global Director for THE Counsellor, which is the area within Times Higher Education that focuses on all our counsellor-led activities, which I'm hoping to tell you a little bit more about in a little while. I am delighted to be joined today by Claire Piella. She is the Managing Director, Global Markets at Common Purpose, who is our learning partner for the CAP, the Counsellor Accreditation Programme, which again we will be telling you a little bit more about later on. And I'm also joined by Augusto Neto, who is Assistant Director of University Guidance at Careers at St. Paul's School, Brazil. Augusto is a member of our advisory board, and he is also a counsellor from a COBIS school. So we are hoping that he will share a little bit more about his experience with you, and I'm sure it'd be really nice to have a voice that you can relate to. A couple of housekeeping things to mention. The webinar is being recorded and the recording will be made available to all the COBIS member schools. There's also a Q&A function that you can see across the bottom of your screen. Please ask us any questions that you have as we go along, and we will try our best to either type the answer live while we are speaking, or come to them at the very end. So any pressing questions, anything that you want to share, anything that hasn't been clear, that you want to find out more about, please let us know. We are hoping that perhaps a little bit later on, we might be able to have Colin Bell, the CEO of COBIS Schools, with us. I know Colin is incredibly busy, so he is trying his best to get to us. So hopefully we'll be able to hear from him a little bit later on. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to begin by telling you a little bit more about our counsellor-led activities, as I mentioned at the beginning. So I'm just going to share my screen. Goodness me, you would think that we're very used to this by now. Here we go. Hopefully you can see my screen now. So many of you will be familiar with Times Higher Education. We are best known around the world because of our World University Rankings. We are the leading provider of data for the higher education industry. We work very closely with academics. We work very closely with universities, educational institutions, governments, ministries of education all over the world, to really connect them with each other and help them find the data they need to make the best decisions. Around 3 years ago, we launched for the very first time our student-facing initiatives and became THE Counsellor, which is our website with information for prospective international students to help them find out about the best options for their future when thinking about studying abroad. Through all the work that Times Higher Education and BMI, which became part of THE last year, through all the work that we have been doing together, there was lots of close collaboration and connections with high schools, and invariably with high school counselors, university counselors, guidance counselors, however they might be called in your schools, but the people within high schools that are in charge of advising students, helping them make career selections, university selections, and those sort of big decisions about their future once they finish their high school studies. So what we found was that the counselor community was really asking us for more. They wanted more engagement, they wanted more information, they wanted more opportunities to connect with each other in a place that was that they could feel where they could really have a voice. And hence came the creation of the THE Counsellor Division within Times Higher Education. Our strategy and our ethos is very much for counselors by counselors. And what that essentially means is that everything that we do, we want it to be directed by counselors themselves. We want counselors to tell us what is it that they need, where the information gaps are, to really hold our hands and direct us, to make sure that whatever proposition we put out there is really, really tailored and very relevant to counselors themselves. So we appointed a board of our International Schools Advisory Board, which I mentioned at the very beginning. Augusto Neto, who is joining us today, he's one of the members of our advisory team. And the members of the advisory board are highly experienced counselors, highly engaged counselors that know the profession and know their communities really well. And they have been absolutely instrumental, as I said before, in guiding us and in helping us understand what is it that counselors need, and actually in helping us provide a lot of the content for counselors themselves. So the activities that we have launched are sort of split into 3 areas. We have THE Counsellor, that I will tell you a little bit more about in a minute, the Counsellor Accreditation Programme, or the CAP, and our in-person events, the first of which are starting very, very shortly. And myself and Claire will be going out and meeting many of you in person at these events, which we're very excited about. At the end of last year, we signed a partnership with COBIS, and I'm hoping if Colin is able to join us a little bit later, I don't want to steal his thunder, but he will tell you a little bit more about it. And really for us, that was an incredibly something that we feel incredibly proud of. It was a seal of approval of COBIS saying, we believe in what you're doing. We want to put our name towards that partnership because we know that what you are producing is of very high quality and highly beneficial for our schools. So the objective of today, yes, we're telling you all of these activities and all of these opportunities for you to get involved with. But beyond that, this is a call for COBIS member schools to work more closely with us and likewise feed us back into what other areas we could be helping you with, what other areas we could be providing you support with. So I mentioned these 3 areas. Just very briefly, I want to talk you through them. THE Counsellor is a platform that we launched in partnership with Common Purpose, represented today here by Claire, Huron University in Canada, UCL, obviously based in London, UCAS, and Unifrog. And it's a resources platform for international school counselors to help them advise on career and university selection. What we have created is a repository of content which is produced by the THE editorial team, by our founding partners. As you can see, they have been providing us with content as well. But very interestingly as well, much of the content is created by counsellors themselves. And I'll tell you a little bit more about this later on. But again, as part of my objective of reaching out to you here today is to say, if you would like to contribute content, we would be absolutely delighted to hear from you. So I'll tell you a little bit more about how you can do that later on. I mentioned the 3 types of content. We also have a newsletter that goes to 6,200 recipients. If you are not receiving our monthly newsletter at the moment, please let us know, and we will be very happy to add you to the mailing list, where you get to hear firsthand about the different pieces of content that are being produced, about events, about different pieces of information that we know will be highly relevant to you. I'm not going to go through a lot of detail about the CAP, because that's why we have Claire here today. We're hoping to be joined a little bit later on by Andy Coxell. He is the Managing Director of Evolve Careers at Common Purpose. And between Claire and Andy, they will tell you more about the CAP, and they can hopefully do a little bit of a demo for you, our Counsellor Accreditation Programme. And again, this is an invitation for any of you who haven't signed up to do the CAP yet, please do so. And I don't want to sell it too much, because I want you to hear from Augusto about his thoughts on it. It's not me saying I want a counsellor to tell you more about it. I wanted to share some of the comments that we've been having about the CAP. And at this point, I should say, we have not asked any of the counsellors to give us testimonials or give us quotes. This is genuinely comments that we've had either through socials or through emails, where they are saying how valuable they found it, how important it's been, and how much they have taken out of the program and into their careers. But again, I'm going to let Augusto cover perhaps a little bit more about that. The last element that I mentioned we have as part of our counsellor-led activities are our international schools, forums, and workshops. And these are events that happen regionally, where we invite high schools and counsellors from the top high schools in the region to come and have professional development sessions that are tied to the CAP, but also opportunities to connect face-to-face with universities that come and want to tell you more a little bit about their offer for their students. And again, I would like Augusto to share. I know there is some people attending, some of the participants, I recognize the names as well, who have been taking part in our in-person events. And again, this is an invitation, as well as the Q&As. Please share your comments with the rest of the community about how you found them. What do you think? Are they worth attending? How can attendees make the most out of these events as well? And again, I should say, as part of our partnership with COBIS, we do give preference to COBIS member schools to attend our events. So these are incredibly oversubscribed, but by being a part of COBIS members of our partnership with COBIS, you will get preference. So please do reach out and let us know if you aren't participating in one, but are interested in participating in one of these regional events. I'm going to stop at this point, and I would like to invite Claire to tell you a little bit more about the CAP. So Claire, over to you.
Thanks so much, Kat. Thank you. I'm Claire Piella. I work alongside my colleague Andy Coxell at Common Purpose, and as Kat mentioned, we are the learning partners, delighted to be the learning partners for the Counsellor Accreditation Programme. And it's a real pleasure to be able to share our excitement about the CAP with all of you from COBIS Schools. Kat, I'll just build a little on what you were sharing about the CAP. And as we keep saying, I will pass to Augusto, who will really bring this to life. But I just wanted to share some of the headlines. And shortly, my colleague Andy Coxall will also take you through a bit of a demo of the CAP, so to really help further bring this to life. Kat, you mentioned, of course, that the CAP is that unique combination of Times Higher Education's data and insights in global higher education and Common Purpose's expertise in professional development and global experience in developing leadership skills. So these things come together, and absolutely, and we'll keep coming back to the real value of this being the fact that it is by counsellors for counsellors. So it's absolutely been a co-creation process in terms of generating the course structure and the content. And I'll talk a little bit more about the content in a moment. But just some of the headlines about the CAP. Firstly, the CAP comprises of 12 modules. So those 12 modules take approximately 12 hours to complete in total. So you're looking at approximately 1 hour per each of those modules. They're of course available online, and they're available on demand. So they can be completed at your own pace. You can apply to join the CAP at any time throughout the year as well. So absolutely nothing stopping you. If you haven't already, absolutely join up, because it really is kind of designed so that you can join at any stage. It's hosted, and we will come to this a little bit more in a moment, but it's hosted on Common Purpose's Evolve Careers Learning Management System. So Andy's going to walk you through that very soon and just show you help you understand kind of what that looks and feels like a little bit more. CAP, we talked about just now, I just mentioned the fact that the CAP is co-created with counsellors and of course with the THE International Schools Advisory Board, who played such a pivotal role in this. But I think what that means is that the content you can expect from the CAP is very relevant and applicable to your role as counsellors. And we hope it will evolve. It's designed to evolve as you bring your insights and ideas into it as well. So as it is at the moment, it broadly covers 6 core themes. And these themes were, they were in your slides, but they were identified by the International Schools Advisory Board as being the most crucial to counsellors. So I'll just take you through those just to bring them to life a little bit. So we have counselling in general. So we have best practices and approaches for your role as counsellors. We have reporting and advocacy. We have sector trends, so thinking about data and insights. We have admissions, so thinking about that admissions process. How do you prepare your students for admissions? What do you need to know, understand as counsellors yourselves? Managing stakeholders. So we particularly, when we look at managing stakeholders, look at parents. So how do we manage parents? But also how do we engage and build those mutually beneficial relationships with senior leadership as well? And finally, we look at building resilience for ourselves and also for students as well. So looking at it through both of those lenses. Now, all of these themes absolutely overlap across the course, but you can see, I think the key thing is that you will see these key themes running throughout the CAP. So lots of overlap, of course, but you will absolutely see those reoccurring themes. Just to say a little bit about the completion. So upon completion of the CAP, you're required to submit a written and video-based reflection and action plans. We often get asked kind of what happens right at the end, how do I get my certification? So that's quite a key part at the end. And these reflections and action plans are reviewed by the THE editorial team and may even be published on the THE website as well, Kat, kind of to your point as well. When you successfully complete the programme and you've submitted the reflections and the action plans, at that stage you then receive a personalised certificate, you'll receive an email signature and social media badges, so that accredits you as a Times Higher Education accredited counsellor. So I think at that point, that's really is something that you can proudly display. So Yes, and hopefully Gusto will talk to kind of, when you get to that stage. But I think once you as a counsellor have gained the CAP accreditation, I think the other really important thing is that the school will also become a THE accredited counsellor school for the duration of time that you as a counsellor are working there and accredited. So I think that's really, really key part of this. And the school you work at will also be listed as well on the THE website. So also another important point to mention. I can only give you often the facts about the CAP, and whilst absolutely I share my excitement, and what really, really brings the CAP to life, I think, is the counsellor. So I know we're going to hear from Augusto soon, Kat. Would you like me to pass there, or?
At this point, thank you so much, Claire, by the way. What
No,
a
thank you very
fantastic
much. I can see we've been joined by
introduction.
Colin.
Thank you so much. And in a minute, we will let Andy do a little bit of a demo, and then we can hear from Augusto. I believe, Colin, are you on the line?
I am indeed. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, Colin. A very, very warm welcome to our webinar. And sorry to throw you straight in on it. We have been telling the audience a little bit about our counsellor-led activities. Claire was just giving a little bit of an overview about the CAP. But I wanted to bring your voice here just to share a little bit more about your thoughts on what you see as the benefit of this partnership for the COBIS member schools, the reason why you decided to have this partnership with Times Higher Education, and any thoughts on what the future might hold for our and the work that we're doing together.
Oh, yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, Catalina. And I'm really sorry I've joined you a couple of minutes late. But yeah, we're really, really excited about our relationship here with THE, certainly for the CAP. COBIS is really committed to professional development for our schools, and also to help create an environment which helps our students thrive. So colleagues on the call will appreciate that we've got a global footprint with schools in approximately, 80 countries now worldwide, close to 300 schools. So we have for many years provided excellent professional learning and development opportunities for head teachers, governors, leaders, deputy heads, designated safeguarding leads, subject leaders, you name it, bursars, business managers, marketeers. And one of the things that was a blindingly obvious gap in our provision was the support we offer to student guidance counsellors. We have done some activities, but we recognise it's such a crucial role within our schools. It's such a fundamental role, which we really want to raise the profile of and celebrate the successes and the expertise of student guidance counsellors worldwide. We understood too that we couldn't do that alone. We needed to find a trusted and credible partner in order to help deliver that. And where better to go than our colleagues who are on the call and all the wonderful team who are behind the scenes at THE, and also your partner organizations such as BMI as well. So you met our brief perfectly in the sense that you truly have the global picture and the global knowledge, networks, connectivity. And again, I come back to that word of expertise, because we recognize that the student guidance counselors on this call, and others as well across our network and across the international school network, will be supporting families and students find the best university for them. Whether that's in Asia, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Europe, the Americas, it's fundamentally what's best for those student and that family. We've got really great connections, for example, with universities in the UK and UCAS, but the missing part to our puzzle was that truly global, global outlook lens. So yeah, that's where we are. We've based this on evidence as well. We've done a number of surveys with our schools to really identify that there is not only a gap in our provision of what we offer members for training, but in terms of fully accredited training as well, and training courses that colleagues can trust and be safe in the knowledge that it's top notch, it's great quality. And so this is the start of a relationship between COBIS and THE. We're really proud to be the global ambassador for the CAP as well. And yeah, so I guess my message is that we are a not-for-profit organization. We don't have an ego. We want what's best for the schools, best for the student guidance counselor, ultimately what's best for the student. So please do share with your networks, your colleagues, this training opportunity and other signposted opportunities from experts on this call and you know, from the organizations. So yeah, we are totally here for you, student guidance counselors, and in our eyes you are absolutely gold dust to the future of children and young people post school. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and as always, please do contact me, any of you that are online, either through the chat or through you know, my email, phone, whatever it is, Twitter, LinkedIn, you can find me, and I'm always happy to help, as are our team. Thanks, Catalina.
Thank you so much, Colin. Thank you so much for taking time and for sharing your thoughts. And, you know, just to say, a lot of the work that we have been doing with counselors and within schools is around really amplifying the voice of high school counselors, because often they are a little bit of the unsung heroes within the schools. They don't have as much visibility as perhaps some of the other professional services, or perhaps some of the teaching staff. They kind of like fall a little bit in the cracks. And really for us is absolute music to our ears, Colin, to hear your stance on high school counselors, on the importance of the role that they do, on the importance of investing in their own professional development, and in really providing those spaces and those platforms for them to grow and ultimately to provide a better service to the students, which is what we're all here for. So again, thank you so much. And, you know, I think for us collectively, this works as a fantastic case study as well, to shout loud to all the schools out there. This is, you know, this is kind of like the gold standard where we want to be, that kind of support and that kind of belief from the wider organizations around the work that they do. I'd now like to pass over to Andy. Andy, I believe you're on the line as well.
So, Kat, we were going to pass to Augusto first to really bring this to life.
Okay. No, that makes...
Really wanted to hear from him first, and then Andy's going to come in and do the much more practical demo, if that's okay.
Yeah, that makes absolute perfect sense.
Fantastic.
And so, my goodness, Augusto, the floor is yours, please.
Well, thank you, Kat. Thank you, everyone on the call. Thank you, Claire, Andy as well, and Colin joining us. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all counsellors joining us, wherever and whenever you're joining us from. It's great to be joined by such a fantastic array of counsellors all over the world. So I hope I can channel some of that enthusiasm from counsellors who have already taken the CAP, the Counsellor Accreditation Programme, and everyone on this webinar today. So you often hear that the CAP, you hear from counsellors who've taken the CAP, that the CAP is perhaps the most exciting professional development opportunity they've had in their the lifetime as counsellors, and that was certainly my experience as well when I myself completed the CAP. You find that those who sit on the advisory board, International Schools Advisory Board, have all themselves completed the CAP as well. And I think it's one of the elements, and to echo something that Colin has just said, that there's no ego in COBIS. You find that across the Times Higher Education sphere, where those, regardless of their position, everyone feels that we can all learn from one another. And what you find as well is that Times Higher Education realized early on the importance of helping to foster and expand a global community of counsellors, and it is truly what we hope to achieve. And I think that we are achieving when you look at the number of counsellors from around the world who have already completed their accreditation, a truly global community of counsellors who are all here to help and support one another. And one thing that we find very common in what we do, as Colin mentioned just before, is that we are helping students and families as well in that crucial journey of discovery towards higher education. And that, of course, takes the shape in most cases of going to university, but also a lot of us deal with career paths and career choices as well. I would think that most international schools, most COBI's schools, that again takes the shape of going to university, and that is certainly something that we cover in the CAP, but we also cover much more. One of the most exciting things about COBI's is that COBI's schools come in all sizes, shapes, all formats, and also all budgets. Right, so it's good that we can think about professional development that fits within budgets, which is something that we certainly achieve with the CAP. I know that bursars are always happy when we're frugal in how we spend our budgets, and of course the CAP. Because the provisions that it is free for counsellors to take, that certainly fits into that structure as well. But also, I think one of the most important elements is that you will find, and I have myself found and completed accreditations from other institutions, like for instance, you find with UCLA in the States, UC San Diego, Columbia, you find programs as well. But typically, one thing about these programs, one, they're very expensive. They're brilliant in what they do, but they're very US centric and also college counseling centric in the sense that you review and you learn a lot about guiding people through their university choices. But at COBI's schools and international schools around the world, we do a lot more than that. And we often find that some of us also have social emotional learning responsibilities within our departments in counseling. Like I said, COBI's and international schools around the world come in all sizes and shapes and formats, and counseling teams around the world come in all sizes, shapes, and formats in what we do. So the CAP and the 12 modules available will help us certainly not only with university guidance, but also careers, social emotional learning aspects as well of the profession. So you will notice that for a very good reason, it is called the Counsellor Accreditation Programme, not the College Counselling or the College Counsellor Accreditation Programme, because counselling at our schools involves a lot more.
Thank you so much for that, Augusto. And you came to a point that I absolutely wanted to elaborate a little bit more on, and perhaps I'd love to hear your take on, and if any participant today has already done the CAP, please also feel free to share your thoughts on this. But often when you do an online course related to your profession, it tends to be very focused on the content itself. And perhaps here, I want to get your thoughts on that balance between, yes, there is content and a lot of practical things that you can take away, but it's a lot about the skills, and it's very much around that skills development piece. And perhaps, Claire, I'd like to hear from you around this as well, because this is your area of expertise, not mine. But what does that essentially mean? It just means that the CAP is just as applicable to you as a professional, whether you have never, ever in your life spoken to a student before, or perhaps you're a teacher, or perhaps you are a member of the administration team and you have been brought in to the school and said, we need you to fulfill this role, go, or whether you are a seasoned professional who has had years of experience, has been in the job for years and years, has rotated through all over the world through different types of schools, whether you have a team of not even you, but half of you, or maybe a third of your time is spent in counseling, or whether you are part of a school that has, 5 counselors underneath you, as part of your team. So perhaps I'd just like to get your thoughts, Augusto, on how, yes, I don't want the audience to take my word for it, but how you see the skills development side and the way to take the content and tailor it to your situation. And then perhaps I'd like to bring Claire for your thoughts around this skills development piece. So Augusto, over to you.
Thank you, and absolutely the opportunity not only to get the content, but also to train and practice and develop the skills needed to apply that content within our contexts is something that is part and parcel of everything that counsellors will do when they take the Counsellor Accreditation Programme. And again, because everyone in the Times Higher Education counsellor sphere is so ready to share, exchange ideas. And also you find that many times you can talk to anybody part of the advisory board or anyone who's taken the CAP and the connections that you make and say, look, could we please connect to go over this? So I can, pick your brains and maybe you can help me with something that's happening. You find that people readily jump on the call to support you. So not only the skills that we're able to apply readily applicable to whatever context we find ourselves in, but that truly global network of counsellors. Never have I seen such a collaborative group of professionals. And this is something that I know from conversations that we have had in the past with the team at Times Higher, Counsellor and Common Purpose as well, is perhaps something that none of us was prepared for. How much collaboration there is, readily collaboration there is within the community of counsellors, and which shows that more than perhaps in any profession, any field I've seen, and being part of in my professional life, that the whole is greater than the sum in what we do, and that is a truly touching aspect of the Counsellor Accreditation Programme and the entire sphere of Times Higher Education Counsellor. Claire?
Augusto, I mean, I think you've absolutely said it, but I think just to emphasize, I mean, and I would absolutely agree with everything you've said, Kat. I think there's something that struck us absolutely in working with counsellors, and at Common Purpose, we work across many different industries, and the collegiality that you speak of, Augusto, really, really struck us. And I think people, no matter whether you've been in counselling a very short amount of time or you've had a vast amount of experience, there's that willingness to support and collaborate. Absolutely there, and I think you feel that actually in the CAP as well. And I think socializing the learning from the CAP is really, really important. So actually, how do you use the connection that you already have to actually bring some of that to life? And the way in which we design the skills piece is very much around, like you say, around the content is the sharing of experience. So how do you help people to see the experience from the perspective of a counsellor, but then to really consider how do you translate that back and make sure it's really practical and actionable in your context. So the invitation to do that translation piece yourself, and then the invitation to go away and practice that and keep testing it with other counsellors as well. I think that's the process that we're always thinking about, the applicability. It has to be relevant, it has to be applicable to counsellors. I think sometimes it's not always just about skills, it can be about the mindset that we need as counsellors. I mean, resilience absolutely kind of speaks to that as well. So yeah, just to echo and emphasize some of those things, but absolutely agree, and very important part, I think, of the CAP.
That's great, Claire. And I think one of the things that we find as well, a comment that keeps happening and that we keep getting from counsellors is saying that sometimes they feel that particular situations or questions that they have or doubts that they have or you know, doubts that they have even itself, they think they're the only ones, and they kind of feel that isolation of, oh my goodness, I am dealing with this issue that I don't really know how to deal with, and I don't really know who can I go to and say, look, what's the best way? And we have found that, again, through this collaborative effort and through this sharing environment and this incredible knowledge transfer spirit from the counselling community, they realize that there's loads of other counsellors in the same boat, either with similar situations or with thoughts around how they can best address them. And when Claire was explaining how the CAP works, and you have your 12 modules that you take online, and then at the end there is this assessment piece. As Claire was saying, what we do is when we the Times Higher Education team reviews that assessment piece, we pick the best ones, the most appropriate ones, perhaps the most unique ones as well, to use them for the THE Counsellor platform and publish them for other counsellors to access. And that has just become such an incredible wealth of knowledge, of wisdom, of sharing that brings this whole idea to life, which is just absolutely fantastic. Colin, I saw that you had your hand raised. Is there anything that you would like to share? You're on mute, sorry. Sorry, Colin, you're on mute.
Sorry, you'd think after all these years I would get the hang of the simplest of things. Hey, we're all human. Augusto, I really enjoyed hearing your comments there. Absolutely brilliant. As Catalina says, and Claire and others, it's about using this community as well. So here at COBIS, we work hard to have common interest, special interest groups. We call them COBIS Connect Ed sessions. They usually last 45 minutes to an hour, but we do have specific ones for student guidance counselors. And again, it's about, sharing common challenges, opportunities, knowledge, resources. And we do that, with the hand in hand with partners as well that we have with us today. Thanks, Catalina.
Thank you, Colin. At this stage, Andy, I think you are here. There we are. Hi, Andy.
Hello.
Welcome. It's always tricky managing time zones and busy schedules, etc. But we're delighted to have you here with us. As I mentioned earlier, Andy Coxall is Managing Director for Evolve Careers at Common Purpose, our learning partner. He works very closely with Claire, with myself and the rest of the THE team. And Andy, I believe you are going to give the audience a bit of a preview on the CAP, is that right?
I will indeed. I was going to lift the lid.
How exciting!
Share. I mean, you've heard it all. Augusto, Claire have talked so eloquently. I've been listening in and sharing their experiences and fellow counsellors' experiences. But I'll just give a quick tour around, just so you can get a feel for what it entails, and I'll talk you through a couple of bits of modules just so you can get a bit of a peek. So if you'll allow me 1 second, I'm going to share my screen. Excellent. So this is seeing behind the paywall, as it were. So this is the Counsellor Accreditation Programme. It sits on our Evolve Careers learning platform, and really is focused on how can we get you into that learning content as quickly as possible. So there's background information about the CAP. We dive then straight in to share the 12 modules. So you've already heard on what those themes are, but just to remind you, we're looking at 6 themes through this. We look at admissions, so how can you empower students to navigate the admissions process and find best fit. AI, how AI can revolutionize counselling and enable you to focus on what matters most, time with students. Counselling, best practice, how do you create those unique opportunities for your students? Future education and work, so staying ahead of emerging trends in the future of education and work. Managing stakeholders, so advocating and influencing senior leadership, having challenging conversations with parents, And then finally, resilience, both your own resilience as practitioners and counsellors, but also then how you can foster it in your students. So within each of these 6 themes, there are 2 modules that you can do. So I'm just going to show you a couple of different examples. So first up, we've got finding best fits. And so this looks at redefining and reshaping best fit. What best fit interactions with students look like, why transparency matters for best fit, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to show you a few bits of this. And a key part of this is bringing the counsellor voice to you. So here we've got Philip Wenterin. He's Dean of University Guidance at Brewster Academy, Madrid. And he's also a member of the advisory board at THE. And you can learn a bit more about Philip, his lovely smiling face there. And then Philip talks about redefining and reshaping best fits. And this was a presentation that he gave alongside Amanda at the Counsellors Accreditation Programme in London in May last year. So short, sharp videos sharing his perspectives on how we can redefine and reshape best fits and redefine success so that we can really think about how we can support students. We then bring in Amanda, who then talks from her own experience. She works at GEMS Wellington Academy in Dubai, and she starts to talk about how you can create those best interactions with students. And then we recap some of the key ideas and thoughts that Amanda has. We then move on to talk about why transparency matters for best fit, and really think about how you work as a team with your counsellors and with universities, and really be upfront with parents so that people can, so that they and their children, your students, can make the most informed decisions for their future. We then start to talk about leveraging the external counsellor and some of the ways that you can do that before moving into college counselling trends. And that continues, and we go all the way through and then recap and then provide guides to counsellors on this topic of best fit. I'll jump into a slightly different topic area now, so AI. And so this very much came through our work with the advisory board and really thinking about, as we look ahead, how can we leverage some of the technologies that are available to enable you to be able to focus on what you do best, spending time with students, advising them on their futures, counselling and supporting them on that journey. So the first of the AI modules, I should say, gives a bit of an introduction to what is it all about? Why is it not going to replace you? Have you actually been using it all along? And how can it revolutionize counselling? And then really importantly, practical tools to help you to start to use it. And I'll show you some of those as well. So our guide on this part is Jeffrey Neal. He's Director of College Counselling at Graded in Sao Paulo, the American School of Sao Paulo. And Jeff is an academic teacher by training, then moved into counselling and is now sort of fondly referred to as the king of AI in college counselling. When I last saw him in Bogota at one of the THE BMI events, he said he'd worked out that in the space of 2023, and that was October, he'd given 43 different presentations to different counsellor communities and different counsellor events on AI. And so Jeff talks us through that to really help us to understand what is generative AI, what are those tools capable of, and how we're rightly to be concerned about them, but actually we shouldn't be too worried about why it's going to replace our jobs, because of the unique connection that you're able to make with your students, the emotional intelligence that you have that enables you to really help students to explore their values and beliefs, and the empathy that you bring where you can truly listen and be that emotional support to students. We start to think about, have you been using AI all along? What are the different tools, whether it's Duolingo, Ask PDF, Otter, and so on that people are using? And then how can those AI tools help you prepare for the future and help prepare students for the future by freeing up to be able to make the most of the time? And then we start to get into sort of how can you start to use these tools? So we have a number of different prompts that we suggest that you can stick in. So for example, I mean, this is quite a long one, but it's quite an interesting one. Write a detailed lesson plan with description for each activity for high school students to help them with career exploration based upon their values and purpose. Create materials based on famous people and their values and purpose, such as Marie Curie, Greta Thunberg, Warren Buffett, Beyonce, and Steve Jobs, with 5 values and a purpose each. Include activities in pairs and small groups, make suggestions for guest speakers, give suggested timings, create printouts, group size 15 people, session time 60 minutes. It's a pretty detailed prompt, which you're then asked to then stick into the Deep AI, generative AI tool, stick that in, go, and then start to see what it starts to pull out. So this is obviously all happening in real time, and this isn't to say that this is going to take your job. We've covered that, or to say that this is the perfect thing, but actually it gives you immediately a really powerful tool to start to refine and think about how you could use it. So that pulls it out that way. We go back. We have activities here around 5 top industries. We have another prompt which is all about college essay and extracurricular activities. There's another one here for creating a plan for walking a small group of students through university applications to the UK. The objective is to help senior students understand how to apply to universities in the UK. And so this is all to introduce you to the way these tools can support you, and then to think about here are different tasks that you'll be doing day in, day out, that you could use these tools to support you with, not to take the work away, but to give you that head start to use more time more effectively, so that you can then spend time on other things. So of course, I mean, I can't imagine many of you wouldn't want more time to spend with your students and to focus on different areas. There's another AI module that follows, but it is a topic that has really seemed, it's very much in the zeitgeist, but it's really caught counsellors' attention in terms of how you can use those tools. So I hope that gives a bit of a feel. 12 modules to work through. Then there's the whole assessment piece and the opportunity to get your work covered in THE Counsellor, and we share all of those resources there. But hopefully that gives you a feel, and I hope you sign up and we see you in there very soon. I'll stop there, Kat.
Thank you so much, Andy. And I think it was really interesting picking 2 quite different topics within the CAP. And again, coming back to what we were talking about a moment ago, you can see how the content is perfectly applicable, whether this is day 1 of your job, or whether you have been doing this for years and years and you're a very seasoned counsellor with a lot of experience, whether you are based in Europe or whether you're based in Africa, whether you have, your cohort is of 30 students or whether it's of 200 students. What we wanted to do here is empower you as a counsellor to have tools, to have skills, to have up-to-date knowledge as well of what other counsellors are doing out there, so that you can take all of that and really bring it into your own profession, into your own setting, and feel the confidence to use those tools, to develop those skills, to reach out to your community, and improve your own career development. But again, ultimately, this is all about providing a better service to the students. And it's funny when you talk to young people, and like perhaps myself and some of the other panelists, say for Augusta, of course, we don't tend to engage with young people as much as obviously you do as part of your everyday life. And 10 years, 20-year gap, generational gap is just absolute mind-blowing. The kind of things that young people are into, the kind of tools that they have access to. So us as slightly older professionals, this is a really nice, safe place as well to be able to understand what is out there, what is current, and what can you bring into the equation. And I want to talk a little bit more about the safe space, and perhaps Augusto, I'd like to bring you in here to tell the audience a little bit more about it. Being part of a community where there is zero judgment around the questions that you ask, or the doubts that you have, or the situations that you encounter. Hopefully that kind of speaks more about this empowerment tool that we want to provide for high school counsellors.
Yeah, that is one of the truly fascinating aspects of the Times Higher Education Counsellor, the Counsellor Accreditation Programme, and the entire sphere that Times Higher Education brings to counsellors around the world. That non-judgmental element of what we do as a collective. And one of the things in what we do is perhaps one of the most striking things is that in the counselling world, change is the only constant. So in a sense, we have to become experts at finding out. And sometimes it's difficult to find out new information, how things have changed, and how those changes are going to shape the future of counselling for that year, because following year, it might be completely different again. And we know we grew accustomed to, for instance, those guiding students applying to universities in the States. We grew accustomed to optional testing, standardized testing. But yesterday we got news from Dartmouth that they're reinstating their testing requirements for those students who will be applying to enter university in 2025. So change is the only constant. And one thing about the network, the vast network of counsellors that have now completed the accreditation program, I understand it's a little over 2,000 now, and many more with COBIS joining us in this partnership, is that collectively we are an organization on which the sun never sets, which means that anytime you send anyone an email or a quick WhatsApp message, you will get a reply. Right. And sometimes, most of the time, people say, well, do you want to connect? We can jump on a call. Let's talk about this. Right. Let's figure it out together. And that is that safe space that we're hoping to achieve and to create together.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Augusto. Finally, before we finish, and I'd like to see if Claire, Andy, Colin have any final thoughts before we close off, or shall I just plow along? I shall carry on. I wanted to check very quickly. Let me just, sorry, not check, share with you very briefly the links for you to access THE Counsellor. The resources platform is the link on the furthest left. In the middle, you have the CAP, and that's where you can sign up to take the accreditation program. And on the far right, more information about the events, the workshops that I mentioned. That email address that is monitored by myself and my team. So please, any questions, any doubts, reach out to us. And finally, this is an invitation to share the knowledge. We have been going on about what a wonderful community it is in terms of the knowledge sharing, the knowledge transfer, the generosity of spirit. So please, please, please help us spread the word amongst your school networks to invite people to complete the CAP as well, to sign up to complete the CAP. It is completely free to counselors, so please don't hold back. But likewise, we have been talking about the resource sharing and this idea of content provided for counselors by counselors. If you have any areas where you feel that you would like to share with other counselors, perhaps case studies that have worked for you, perhaps situations that you have been in, perhaps advice on how to handle a particular type of student or parent or senior leadership or lessons plans or relationship with universities, whatever that might be that you think might be beneficial to other counselors, please do reach out to us, and we would love to hear from you and perhaps create a content piece that we can upload onto THE Counsellor. Colin, any last thoughts from you before we finish?
Yeah, I was just reflecting on what our good friend Augusto said from St. Paul's over in St. Paulo, in the fact that that's something that we always celebrate at COBIS. The sun never goes down on a COBIS school. Similar for all our activities. There's always a child learning, whether it's early years, primary, secondary, sixth form. And that's truly the unity in our diversity is what makes us stronger. And for COBIS' point of view, I'll just finish by saying, honestly, THE, Common Purpose, brilliant partners, BMI, and we'll only get even better and stronger with the input and advice and guidance from our experts in the field, student guidance counsellors. So doors always open, get in touch, and we're here to help. So that's all from me. Thank you so much again, Catalina, and everybody else.
Thank you so much, Colin. And, likewise, we are absolutely delighted with this partnership and cannot wait to collaborate even closer with all the COBIS member schools. Last but not least, a huge thank you to my fellow panelists, Claire, Andy, Augusto, and of course, Colin, Beth, who is in the background helping us manage the webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As we said, we will share this recording with all the schools. We will share all the links as well. Now, there was a question in the chat about sharing the links so that you're able to access it. And any questions, comments, doubts, opinions, please reach out to us. Counsellor, reach out to me directly through LinkedIn as well, and we would be delighted to hear from you. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.